CSGO's Panorama update is the biggest the game has seen in a long time, but it's also one of the most superficial. You've all been telling me to make a video about it, but I'm not exactly sure what it could achieve that you can't. This is the kind of update that's best experienced by you loading up the game and by checking it out for yourselves in your own time. Which I'm guessing, by now, most of you have done. So instead of repeating what everybody has already said about it, this video is about how CSGO's UI has changed since the beginning. Even before Panorama, this game saw several different UIs based around Scaleform. I'll be showing the new Panorama version, the current Scaleform version, CSGO from early 2013, and from beta 2011 using a dodgy old version. For science. We'll start with the game's initial loading screen. Loading CSGO, Panorama's starting screen is minimalistic, simply displaying a CSGO logo, which then fades away and the main menu comes into view. Scaleform 2018 has the Valve screen, followed by one about Source. This was the same back in 2013. 2011's was this screen, and it took forever to load the main menu on the version that I have. The main menu itself has changed a lot with each iteration. Panorama looks like this. It's colourful, and has all of the options tucked away at the sides of the screen, leaving space for what you're currently looking at in the middle, along with this nice animated 3D character model who does all sorts of dank stuff, depending on what he's holding and the team that he's on. Although it's still fresh in our heads, Scaleform 2018's was a lot more cluttered looking. Options at the top and down the side, and with a lot of information showing that you may or may not be interested in. 2013 was simplistic, showing the bare minimum amount of options at any given moment, but putting a lot of emphasis on my accomplishments, something that's all but gone from the game now. And 2011's is a bit buggy, because my version's not that legit, but is a similar sort of thing but with an added leaderboards button as well. I'm sure we can all agree, one of the most loved features of CSGO's menu is the music. It's been blasting out of our speakers since day one, and has received a few tweaks with Panorama. It starts by sounding distant and tinny, perhaps to lessen the blow a bit. But don't worry, it comes back with all its bassy glory once you click on one of the menus, unless you choose to buy cases, which quietens it way down. Perhaps this is what Valve's emphasis on realistic sound has ultimately been leading to. I noticed that you can't change the master music volume, but instead have to reduce each one separately. A missing feature with Panorama right now. Scaleform 2018 blasts it out of the speakers the moment it's loaded. Scaleform 2013 blasts it out of the speakers the moment it's loaded. And so does the beta 2011 version, only with a different song that you may or may not have heard before. Next, your friends. Panorama hides most of the information, displaying only icons until you move your mouse over this side of the screen. It then displays more information, and even more again if you click on certain bits. Scaleform 2018 shows everybody immediately, also in order of who's playing, who's online, and lastly, who isn't. There's more information for each person if you click on them. Scaleform 2013 doesn't give you friends. You have none. But in My Accomplishments, there's a leaderboard, which I guess is to encourage you to beat them all and to show that you're the best. Congratulations, Steel. You're the best. And 2011's version doesn't have anything. Forever alone. Inventory in Panorama takes up the whole screen and lets you see 8x4 items at once. That's 32. Scaleform 2018 shows 6x5, which is 30. Panorama wins for showing more on screen at once. It also takes up more of the screen, so everything appears bigger. You still have all of the options you'll ever need to filter what you're looking for. All in all, I'd say that this is a big improvement, especially since now you can scroll up and down your entire inventory, rather than having to click through one page at a time. Oh, and the older versions of CSGO didn't have an inventory. The closest you get is this option in the game settings, and I don't think that exactly counts. Inspecting items has also been given a facelift with Panorama. For weapons, you can now freely rotate the item you wish to inspect almost 180 degrees. Alternatively, you can see how it looks on your character, as if seeing yourself from other people's points of views. You can spin this a full 360 degrees, and can choose from a number of different character models. You can also choose to change the main menu guy to your choice of character model and weapon skin. Scaleform 2018 wasn't quite so free, giving you a moving camera view of the weapon in a holder. For the older versions of CSGO, there was no inspect feature, and you'd have to settle for viewing your weapons in-game. In 2013, you'd have to swing, shoot, or reload your weapons to see the skins in action. Not that you even had skins to inspect back then. And 2011's was the same, but only with a few weapons available and with different looking knife animations. Back then, F10 immediately quit the game. It was a great way to score easy wins against unsuspecting players. And here's Panorama versus Scaleform 2018 for gloves, stickers, and graffiti. The older versions didn't have any of this stuff, so I'll ignore them for now. The inspections look the same as before, but with Panorama they take up the whole screen so that you can inspect them in greater detail. The graffiti is sprayed onto the same wall, but the lighting is a bit different from how it was before. When inspecting stickers, the background goes all blurry, whereas before it would be coloured to indicate the sticker's quality. And you thought I'd forgotten, didn't you? But I didn't. Here are the music kits. That was fun. Unboxing weapons and unlocking cases also looks different with Panorama. Some of the crates are 3D models, others are lazy 2D pictures. I'm not much of a fan of this bit of CSGO, and I'm a bit cheap, so I won't be showing an unboxing. But I'm sure that YouTube will soon be flooded with examples that you can see. With Panorama, the watch page for tournaments takes up a full screen, then once you've picked a tournament to view, that one then takes up the whole screen. With Scaleform 2018, they were displayed in a box within the menu. The different tournaments were listed down the side, with the rest of the screen showing in detail which one was selected. I think the old style shows more information at the same time, on the selection screen. The new one replaces info with eye candy buttons to click. Downloads still corrupt just the same. Clearly, the problem here wasn't with Scaleform. Seems Panorama won't cure all of CSGO's problems. Your matches now look like this, functioning in pretty much the same way as before, although you can no longer flick to a round of your choosing. Also, a draw in Panorama shows in green, just like a victory. In Scaleform 2018, it wouldn't show a green trophy, making it look more like a loss. Seems that Panorama is a lot more positive about any draws that you get, which is some small solace, I guess. And the streams page looks like this, when before it looked like this. Once again, not something that was featured back in 2013 or 11, so I can't show them. The settings haven't actually changed too much across all 4 versions of CSGO. A few new controls have been added for weapon inspections and so on. Subheadings have been replaced in Panorama with quick navigate buttons that momentarily highlight any options that apply. Changing screens now smoothly transitions between the two, and most pages are accessible within a single button click, whereas in Scaleform 2018 it felt more like separate pages, selected from drop-down lists at the top of the page. This gets even more clunky in 2013 because you had to return to a previous page every time. There's not even a sidebar to help quickly scroll down the options. And the beta 2011 version makes it even more painful by forcing you to sit through a low FPS animation between pages. Advanced graphics options aren't accessible, and you can't apply resolution changes in-game. But this could just be the dodgy version that I'm using. Really makes you appreciate Panorama though, doesn't it? Now let's get on to hosting a game. I'm going to go from old to new here. In 2011, you chose whether you wanted casual or competitive rules, then got to choose from a whole 2 maps. Any map as long as it was dusty. In 2013, if you chose to play with friends, you could change joining permissions from here, and if you wanted to change the game mode or maps played, you'd have to click down here on the generic Game Settings, which takes you to a screen that gives you more control over which game mode and maps you'd like to play. Still not that many maps on offer, but a lot better than 2011. Scaleform 2018 is actually the best right now, giving you freedom over who can join, the maps and game mode, even letting you choose custom workshop maps. In its beta state, Panorama takes a bit of a step backwards, only letting you play offline against bots on official maps. If you try on official servers, then it tells you that you can't. I won't hold this against Panorama, obviously it's still in beta and hopefully when it's released for real, it'll have all the options that Scaleform 2018 currently has. And maybe more? And hey, I do like the new 3D looking selection animation as well. Makes the older UIs look very dated in comparison. Loading screens have changed through the ages, but this is one area that Panorama, at least in my opinion, hasn't improved things much. The background is darker, and the radar style simpler, which makes this screen look darker than the older designs. The simpler radar I can appreciate for gameplay reasons, but personally I think I still prefer Scaleform 2018's style of loading screen. And 2013's and 2011's look the same as each other, but 2011's font is all broken in my version. As the load progresses, the top and the bottom of the screen shoot by and change in colour from blue to orange, and spawn and bomb spots sprout from the radar image. This was a pain to make, requiring you to use your totally legit flash animation making software. And choosing your team looks different now as well. With Panorama, you have 2 3D characters representing the CT and T teams. Scaleform 2018 uses static 2D pictures. 2013 was the same, but with moving bits at the top and the bottom of the screen. And 2011 took up the entire screen, which I think looked kind of cool. but not as good as Panorama's 3D models, of course. The in-game HUD hasn't changed too much, but the radar seems to get bigger and further from the side of the screen with each version of the game. The rest of the HUD has also gotten a bit bigger, apart from the player icons at the top, which have gotten a lot smaller with Panorama. The scoreboard has changed for the better. Panorama's is neat and tidy, showing only what needs to be shown and with plenty of space between the sections, showing a nice blur effect similar to Windows Aero. As the scores change, the players move about on the board with a nice little animation. Scaleform 2018 looks boxier and messier in comparison. Scaleform 2013 looks boxier and messier in comparison again. And 2011's looks like shit. Onto the Defuse. Panorama finally shows the milliseconds left, and shows the bar in a circular shape. Scaleform 2018 shows the bar in a straight line and only counts in seconds. 2013's is the same, and so is the 2011 version. Each of these with slightly different styles. I guess Panorama's millisecond timer makes sense, given how many updates they've given to the Defuse timer recently, particularly when it came to close countdowns, and I guess it adds to the sense of urgency a bit as well. The buying screen shows everything your teammates have bought, which is a very welcome addition, even though I'll probably never look at it until it's too late. The weapon selected shows up as a 3D model that can be rotated, which is nice but pointless. And the stat bars have been recolored to teal, and all of the information is now aligned with each other. Scaleform 2018 splits the information about each weapon into 3 different sections for some reason, and lists special and country, 2 things that have been removed in Panorama. I actually think that Scaleform 2013's is better than 2018's. Although still split into 3 sections, it at least spreads the information out a bit more, and lumps the useless ones together at the bottom. Special refers to the secondary fire, whether it's burst, zoom magnification, or rapid fire, as is the case with the revolver. And back in 2011, only a few of the weapons were available, and they displayed a lot less information about them, but still managed to include pointless stuff like where they're from. Pressing escape in-game also looks a bit different in Panorama, freezing for a split second before presenting you with the same sidebars as the main menu has. It's nice that you can now see your friends from here. Scaleform 2018 freezes for a split second and then shows you a generic looking list of options for votes, team select and game options, as well as awards for some reason. Scaleform 2013 doesn't freeze when you press escape, and then shows you the same sort of options, but the real news here is that it doesn't freeze, whereas Panorama and Scaleform have done in later years. Valve, please make it not freeze again. This is nice. And 2011's menu looks quite nice and stylised in my opinion. Doesn't freeze, and displays the same sort of features as the other Scaleform versions. Pretty decent if you ask me. And, in case you were interested, this is how CSGO's Windows icon has changed over the years. It has gone from the 1.6 logo, to the CSGO one, to a simpler man logo for the latest Panorama version, which in a way brings it more in line with how the older Counter-Strike logos look. Nice one. The demo viewer used to look like this in 2011 and 13, and now, in 2018 and Panorama, it looks a bit more complicated, but works in exactly the same way. And when reviewing Overwatch cases, Scaleform 2018 showed all of the options at once on a single screen, and Panorama forces you to scroll down each option, which I really don't like and find more confusing. I hope it doesn't remain like this. And that's it. Right now, Panorama is still an optional beta update, and you can't play proper matches with it enabled. Valve are wise to roll it out slowly like this. With such a large change, there will inevitably be lots of scary bugs to patch, which Valve has been doing since. Who knows what the future holds for CSGO's HUD? Could we be getting customizable HUD options in the future? Panorama may only be a superficial change, but it's grabbed the community's interest more than other updates have. Maybe this game wasn't horribly broken, and a facelift was all that was needed. This video was late to be released since when Panorama beta rolled out, I was here, having a lovely relaxing holiday and unable to make videos. You may ask why I'm away whenever CSGO gets an interesting update, but I think that Valve saves their best updates until I'm on holiday. So in a way, I've been doing all of you a valuable service. Dinosaur Leaf's video covers the new HUD in glorious depth. Check it out for a comprehensive list of changes. And here's my video on Valve's Ask Me Anything on Reddit last year, a lot of which actually applies more to this year. And here I was in a cave last week when Panorama came out.
This place